Well, so here's the thing. I talked to someone yesterday who said he's very interested in sales, but he doesn't know what the salespeople do.
Yeah.
Right? SEs see a little bit piece of what salespeople do, especially when you're covering like 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 salespeople as an SE, and you're just basically doing the SE role, and you're not involved in any of the sales part. Uh, what advice would you give them? Like, would they be able to know what salespeople do so they can make that better decision? Because if they find out, they may hate it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So the advice I would give, number one is read a good sales book. Like just very fundamental sales book or good one on fundamental elements of sales is Mike Weinberg's got a book out there called New Sales Simplified. Anthony Iannaro's got a book out there. It's called like The Only Sales Book You'll Ever Need. So you could like just read a book, those two books, you get a really good understanding what sales is about. Fanatical Prospecting by Jed Block. The other thing is if you're of that mindset, the other thing is you got to think about the company that you're going to be moving into a sales role with. Do they have a defined sales methodology? Because if they do, then you're walking into something that at least you're going to have kind of like a framework for how to go about doing your job. Another thing to kind of consider, I just found this out the other day, is that there's a website out there called RepVue. So it's REPVUE, which it actually scores sales organizations, gives you a good sense of what sales organizations have strong leadership, which ones have account reps that are actually making their quota, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, because we always get that. Hey, your on target is 100K. On target base is 100K. On target is 500K, but then you never make more than 5% of quota. What's
Oh
the
yeah,
point?
yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
Review is pretty good. A pretty good site. Uh, Based on what you just said, there's one book I would recommend. Also, it's called The One Thing,
Okay.
which basically talks about what's the one thing you can do that will help you generate revenue. Like, what's your focus of the day, right? Because we all wake up and we have to-do lists that's like 10,000 pages. Which one of these items that you're on your list that's going to make you money, right?
I love,
Respond to email is not a task that will make you money most of the time. Go ahead.
I love that because I can tell you like the struggle I had probably more than anything that again if I could go back and I could prepare myself for it. It wasn't finding stuff to do, it was finding the right things to do. Because I think, and also I hired an SE in part of my role, a guy who transitioned so I was able to kind of see him go through this and me go through this. Shout out to him. He's a phenomenal rep. He made an amazing transition. But the challenge is when you're an SE, you're trying to solve a problem, right? You're trying to go in there, you're trying to show the overall capabilities of the system, you're trying to map it to the requirements. And so you can like really dig into any individual opportunity. And so as a rep, that can work against you because you can end up over engineering, spending too much time on an opportunity that you should maybe just let go to the wayside. So I definitely spent way too much time early on in that transition of trying to fit like a round peg into a square hole kind of thing, where I just thought that, hey, if I went in there and configure the solution a certain way, if I just changed the messaging on the demo a certain way, that then I would win the opportunity. When
Yeah,
reality is there's so much more that goes into it.
yeah. I mean, like I agree. Finding stuff to do is so easy. Finding the right thing to do is I found it to be a life changer, right? Because one generates business, one solves problems, the other one keeps you busy.
That's right. Yeah, and I think like that's why like I always say like the really good uh, sales reps, there's always something a little bit different about them. They may not be like the best team player. They usually aren't the best team player because they're very focused on what it is that they have to do to get that deal done. And so that means that they won't show up to internal calls. They'll drive their manager absolutely bananas with like not following through on some of the, required training and stuff that you have to do internally, all that stuff. And as part of like a sales manager, you have to learn how to like deal with those personalities. But I'm telling you, it's always those. It's that type of personality, the one that just they know how to focus on the right things and they drive hard on it, that end up being successful in sales.
So, y- when you started your career as in sales, how did you figure out what the right things to do were?
Yeah. So unfortunately, it was a lot of trial and error. So the company that I moved to, it was very much a point solution for a very particular type of market. So it's a point solution for a heavy civil construction space. And so initially, I didn't have like a really good grasp on what it is that I needed to go after from a go-to-market perspective. So I left the markets I was going after way too broad. And then what I found was I was just losing opportunities, losing, and it was the same feedback every time, right? And um, even though like I tried to push things in the direction of a market that I understood really well, but the solution just didn't fit there. So the company wasn't set to support that. So then over time, I just learned to refine it, learned to change it, whittle down the market to the messaging that worked, figured out what it is I could better leverage the existing collateral that we had that was based on this market, and then was able to ramp it a lot better.